5.
No,
I have an idea
Yeah.
about hijacking the podcast one day, where I'm the host and you're the guest.
Ooh.
Oh.
The old switcheroo.
I
Would
think it would
we-
be super fun.
Would we play like each other, or would be?
I don't know how
Like
much
a
role
Freaky
play
Friday
we
kind
need
of
to
thing.
do.
You know, you're just like swap bodies, you know?
You guys could dress like each other.
We could
and,
pretend to be each
Uh-huh.
other, and then
Yeah.
you could just be a obnoxious whiskey mist. and
Yeah.
You
Just be
hate
wrong about it,
everything,
like a
and-
caricature of you or something.
Eating
Yeah.
chips and drinking honest tea,
Yeah.
you know?
You're like, guess what happened to my yogurt this morning?
My stomach hurts so bad right now, guys. Meanwhile, just like drinking shots.
You guys know
of
I have
whiskey.
lactose
Yeah, right.
intolerance. No, and then whiskey is definitely part
Yeah.
of the whole
Yes.
thing.
Uh-huh.
Like an
Yeah.
actual whiskey, like a mist bottle. You're just
Yeah,
like,
Oh,
you're
you
just
yes,
mix each
mixing
other
us.
with whiskey and walk out of here
An
smelling
exaggerated
like booze.
version of you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think we know what we're doing for April 1st.
I was
Oh,
gonna
dude,
say
that
April
sounds
Fool's Day, right?
amazing.
Perfect.
Do we have to wait that long though?
No, we'll spring it
We'll
out.
film
somebody.
it now, and then we'll just put it out.
What kind
I
of
will
whiskey
also
do you
point out-
spray, though?
April is when
Canadian
we
Mist.
get April is when we get our reviews. I don't know if I want to do this so close to when I get my performance
Oh,
review.
yeah. You know, you had a great year right
We were gonna
up
give you a
until-
raise, and then you sprayed yourself with whiskey live in front of the internet.
And not just yourself, everybody in the office. It just
Yeah.
reeks in here.
The kid just goes around with little.
You
There
smell
were
drunk.
children.
You
here,
kind of
dude.
brought us all down.
Bring your kids to work.
It was
day.
bring
Like,
your
you
kids
need
to
this
work
more
day.
than I do.
Spraying them with-
And I'm
yeah, it's
just
time you
wasted.
learn.
Gosh.
All right, let's get going here.
We're,
That escalated
we're
really
planning my
quickly.
own demise right
Yeah,
now.
right.
Basically, that's what's happening.
Plotting it
You all
out,
saw
yeah.
it live on the internet. Hello, everyone.
great.
This is
Now everybody
Trends with
knows, yeah.
Benefits. This is our weekly roundtable tech podcast where we talk about the tech topics of the day. Tech topics of the day. There, I got it out. And we have a lot of stuff that we're going to get to today. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, and we love to hear your comments, your questions. The topic we're going to be talking about right off the bat is driverless cars. Are you ready to ride in one? Because you probably saw the news today about a shuttle in Las Vegas, an autonomous shuttle, a driverless shuttle, that got into an accident within an hour.
It digs its own hole.
And
Sorry.
pretty much. So that happened over this just actually yesterday, I believe, is when it happened. Or was it today that this actually went down?
Oh,
the
that was
shuttle?
this morning.
Yeah, it was this morning. Okay, so that just happened. So we're going to be talking about that. We've got that question right there at the top. But also, we're going to be bouncing all over around with some different topics today, too. We're going to talk about some things with Elon Musk, talk about the Apple iPhone and whether it should be unlocked by them in the case of a crime. We've got lots of things to cover, and we do want to hear your opinions on everything. But let's get introduce our roundtable. I will be able to talk at some point here.
It's
I'm Greg
questionable.
Nibbler.
It's questionable. Yeah.
And to my right,
I am Rick Stella, outdoor editor at DT.
Marie, I'm one of the IT people here.
The tequila train wreck.
Tequila train wreck. Is that how we're going to change it up now?
I'm going to Mexico next week. Won't be able
Oh,
to join you
nice.
guys. Sorry.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm momentarily sort of setting the whiskey miss aside in favor of the tequila train wreck.
The tequila train.
Because, man, I am going to get it down there. I tell you what. It's going to be good.
I just picture you like, you know that scene in James Bond where he has a scorpion on his hand, takes a shot of tequila, and like slams it over? That's going to be you next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
me. I'll send you some Snapchat videos of me
There we
doing
go.
that
Looking
exact
forward
same
to it,
thing.
yeah.
Is that thing? Do we still snap? I can't remember.
Did it go through the redesign yet?
I don't know.
No.
It's
Okay.
they're redesigning
have to try.
Snapchat to work better for old fogies like me, who have no idea how it works.
Big buttons and just says
Streamline it,
record
right.
here, send
the
here.
olds,
Yeah.
as they put it.
Right. the
Take
olds.
nudes. All right. Anyway, so let's get to
That's what Facebook wants you to do.
yeah,
Yeah, right?
pretty much it is.
mean-
All right, let's talk about this driverless shuttle. So I put the question up there, and I wanted to see if people are ready and willing to ride in a driverless car. And it looks like so far it's split down the middle. There's a lot of people that do not want to. Some adamant no's with exclamation points. Although some people are saying, as Keelan just said in here, people suck at driving, so the more AI drivers, the better. And in all fairness, the accident was caused technically by a human who did this. And if you're not familiar with it, so this driverless shuttle was doing their runs in Vegas. They had actual tech reporters on board, including somebody from Digital Trends.
That's right. We were on the bus.
On the
Not
bus.
we, but the royal,
Digital
you know,
Trend-
the
the royal-
editorial.
the royal
yeah,
we.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, the
yeah.
editorial,
Yeah.
man.
Exactly. So
We're
there's
all part of the same hive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and there's a series of pictures that he was taking as they were sitting there in the shuttle while the accident was clearly going to happen. And what happened is the shuttle stopped, waiting for a truck, a delivery truck that was backing up. It stopped. The delivery truck continued backing up, didn't see the shuttle, and then hit it. The accident, it's not much of an accident. There's a little bump, really, that happened. But the point is, though, the car, if there had been a human driver, the shuttle would have just backed up. and got out of the situation. I'm sure we've all been in that situation before, where it's somebody's taking a corner too big, you just have to back up and let them through.
Yeah.
This thing didn't do it. It just sat there and let itself get hit. And so that's kind of where we're coming from with this, and whether or not you would be willing and ready to ride in one of these driverless shuttles. So are there yeses or nos in here?
I mean, that just brings up like its reaction. You know, like
Yeah.
why did it not react and move out of the way? Mm-hmm. You know, and so like if you don't trust it at 1 mile an hour, should you trust it at 75 miles an hour or 60 or whatever? You know, to make quicker decisions than something backing up at 1 mile an hour towards it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's like kind of unsettling. I would ride in it. I mean, I think. Well, I don't know. Shoot, I'm just like
Would you
talking
now?
myself out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because
If
I
Penn
mean,
and Teller are standing right there telling you how amazing this thing is, you're probably going to get on. Because that's what was happening, right? Penn and Teller were on board to, not literally on board the bus.
Like a video or whatever.
No, they were standing there
Oh.
as part of the whole promotional thing.
to get people to
Yeah.
ride it.
And
I'll make the paint on this bumper disappear.
using this human and a truck.
Yeah.
I would totally get on one for
would
what.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No worries whatsoever. I don't think this. What I love about Digital Trends' handling of this situation is that we did not play the oh my god, the first autonomous bus ride, which is not the first, by the way. But it wasn't this huge catastrophe. Everybody played it up so that they could get in on the news and get a bunch of traffic. Our reply was, oh hey, we were on it, and calm the hef down.
Yeah.
It's really just not that big of a deal.
In a sea of clickbait titles.
Exactly.
Ours was just like everyone just chill out.
We took the high
Right.
road,
Yeah, it's
shameless
fine.
self-promotion. But that's
Well,
the thing
I mean,
is,
that's
it
everybody
really
on
was
board.
not a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And
no,
it-
the accident itself, no. I think the implications of something like this, could this, a bigger situation arise if a shuttle wouldn't understand to get out of the way? I think that's something to actually think about.
Yeah.
Like this particular incident, no, nothing happened,
I mean,
really.
reaction is
The guy got a
definitely
ticket, I
factor.
think, is all that happened. The truck
Yeah.
driver.
Reaction time is definitely a factor, what you do in reaction. But, there could be plenty of people out there that get into a situation like that and they freeze.
Right.
True.
And it ends up being the same result.
Yeah.
The thing I would trust this, talking about higher speeds, is that when you're going at higher speeds, this is what it's programmed to do. This is what it knows how to do. And it's going to follow a set of parameters and guidelines
Yep.
for this. Whereas if you get into a regular bus or a regular cab or whatever it is, you don't know what kind of driver you're going to get. And I think we've all been there.
Yeah,
where
that's
you-
true.
Or what kind of day they're having.
Yeah, or you
like
get
all
out
those
of
other variables, right?
You
or
get
how
off
aggressively
the-
they're going to drive
Right.
that moment.
Yeah.
You get off, your Uber, your Lyft, your cab, and you're like, do you recommend this driver for good driving? You're like, no.
You recommend this robot to keep driving you.
Plus,
Yeah.
no tipping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about tipping the computer
Yeah.
in that thing. Also,
Yeah.
no having to you know what? I'm sorry, I got to stop and use the restroom really quick. Park the bus near the nearest
Yeah.
McDonald's and then get off and
Or
take a
have
pee.
them take a sketchy route instead of,
So on a
following.
perfectly mapped out
Yeah.
route.
Yeah.
So what was like the driverless car software they were using, and why did it
was-
not move out of the way? Like, what was the response to this from the bus?
So far, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, as
Okay.
far as the software that it's using, it's from a company. Let me pull up the name of the company that's actually running it. But yeah, they're saying it just wasn't set up for that. They
Well,
just
here's the
hadn't
thing.
factored that in.
I think people forget that, and this is true if you're a human driver.
Navia is the name.
Navia.
These things are programmed not to get themselves into accidents. Like their
Yeah.
accident avoidance is limited to things that they can control. At the end of the day, it's like going out and driving in the snow. I'm great at driving in the snow. Well, that's fine. The problem isn't you. It's everybody else that sucks.
Yeah,
if
right,
a car
right.
comes careening at you, you're getting in an accident.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it because the laws of physics cannot be changed. So that's the situation here. This is a perfect example of the bus could not have done much to get out of the way. It only has so much time to gauge, oh, it's coming at me.
I should move forward or whatever. Right?
I should move backwards. If
Oh,
if
okay,
it's
yeah.
getting backed into, and at that point, what if by moving backwards, it was going to back into another car?
Well, they
has
said
to
it
make
had
that
20
decision.
feet of clearance behind
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, so it could have backed up.
Well,
and not
so
hit
now
anything.
that conversation becomes: does accident avoidance include making moves to get out of the way? Because right now it's concentrated on not getting in the way or not causing a collision. That's where this stuff needs to go next.
Because the other crashes that have happened with other autonomous cars have been people hitting it, like either sideswiping it or running into it, and for the same thing, like it's not actually driving I don't know, I guess defensively. It's only doing what it can do on its own path or whatever.
I mean, I think maybe if the entire road was covered in AI cars, that would that
be
would
different.
yeah, that'd be different.
Yeah, because you'd assume there'd be like a network of them all talking to each other.
Yeah.
You know.
So how has this technology gotten to the point where it's cool for their? I shouldn't speak out of turn. Was there like a monitor on this vehicle? Because most autonomous driving still requires there to be somebody in the seat, hands close to the wheel, in order to take manual control if it's absolutely necessary. So that's what I want to know.
They were huge Penn and Teller fans. They were just like in awe, and then
They forgot to get on.
Right, yeah.
Whoops, sorry guys.
Shoot.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a representative of the company on there because they were doing a whole song and dance, like a big presentation for it. Why that person didn't hop up and take the wheel? And
Well,
back
did they
it up?
really have time?
Yeah.
Or
I
maybe
mean-
they didn't have
I
time,
mean-
or maybe they thought the guy was going to stop. Because it sounds like the guy. I mean, it was the guy
It
driving
was
the
such
truck
a slow.
And it was
I
a
mean,
slow
Yeah.
anyways. You're like, oh, that guy's
So he's going to stop. He's going to stop.
Yeah,
And then,
I'll be
he didn't
honest,
stop.
that actually happened to me once. I was parked at a light behind somebody, and the person in front of me decided to start backing up.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, you're like, is this really happening? Like, are they going to stop? What are they
Yeah.
doing? And you start thinking about all of this, and then it happens,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, that was...
And they get so close, you can't even react
And you're
quick
like,
enough, right, to put drive into reverse
yeah.
or whatever. And you probably had somebody right behind you, anyways. Too,
Yeah, and so
right?
at that
Yeah.
point, you're like, well, you know,
What do I do?
this is
Yeah.
the thing.
And our DT guy, Jeff, and there's a full account of this because, in case you missed that, we had somebody from Digital Trends on the shuttle.
It's a
while
funny
it happened.
account, too.
And yeah, he's saying, as the driver was swinging the trailer into the alley, the tractor portion of the truck was coming right at us very slowly. We had plenty of time to watch it happen as he was taking pictures of it happening.
Yeah.
So there's a whole pictorial here.
My
of
understanding
everything
is
that's
that
going on.
Teller is to blame. He was standing right there the whole time.
That
He was
sounds good.
within the field of view of the driver, and he refused to speak up.
Yeah. So I like that
You
idea.
should have just
We
made
can
the
blame.
bus disappear.
We can blame
you know?
Teller.
There you go.
All right.
He's so into
Some
character,
elaborate
he won't
magic
even
trick.
talk
He won't
when
even
there's
talk,
an
right.
I
accident
mean, but
about
that
to
what kind
happen.
of publicity though? If you're like, maybe somebody should like take the wheel instead if you're in a demo of your autonomous vehicle.
Yeah, probably, especially when you have reporters on board.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the worst.
That's like
time.
the worst possible time for that to happen. All right, well, we've got several things we do have to get to. So like I said, the discussion's kind of gonna go all over the place a little bit today, but we do want to talk about this, and it's Uber's announcement that by 2020 they want flying taxis in LA, which is an interesting concept, and they even put out a promotional video. This isn't something new. They've talked about doing test runs in Dallas and Dubai. I think are the other two cities they're working on before, but with LA, this one seems to be they're getting really serious about it. It's called Uber Elevate, is what it would be called. And they have these vehicles that would be on top of towers. And as the towers, you go into an elevator in these towers, you go to the top of the roof, and then that's how you fly around from building top to building top, avoiding
Flying
all
cars.
traffic.
You mean helicopters?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
calling them not, what do they call them?
Not
EVTOL.
helicopters.
So yeah, not helicopters. It's an electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicle, is what it is.
Okay.
So yeah,
So like
it's
an
a flying
airplane,
car.
then. Yeah.
And that's their solution to avoid, the traffic problems that are going on in LA. I think this idea is neat, but I can't imagine, like, economically, who's going to be able to afford this, and what is their pricing?
Is
gonna
it-
be?
is there
Actually,
pricing?
The price I read that the pricing they want to make it competitive to a typical Uber ride in the city, which is going to be expensive enough if you're in LA.
That's true. Yeah, if you're
But if you
going
can
that
make
distance.
these electric, I don't know if they're going to be electric or gas
yeah, they're
powered, but
yeah, electric.
Electric.
that would make it cheaper if they were electric. It's going to cost a lot of money to make the actual
But then
helicopter.
how do you get battery life to sustain more than one ride? If you're going 60 miles in
Oh, yeah.
a helicopter,
Well, hold on. Isn't this just within the metro area? Aren't they just hopping rooftop to
Like
rooftop?
6
Rooftop
to 8
to rooftop.
minutes.
So really, what you're
rides.
trying to do is avoid the gridlock
Yeah.
of a major metropolitan area,
Correct.
and just get to the next building you're trying to go to. Right? You're not
Or
taking this
get to
thing
a
down to
building
7-Eleven to
closest.
grab a Slurpee. You're trying to get
No.
over to
Just Beverly Hills
Johnson and
just Beverly
Johnson's
Hills
law
to Anaheim
firm,
or
or
something.
over to the Capitol Studios.
Sure.
That's
speaking of,
precisely it.
how many rooftops can they actually land on?
That's
Like,
another question.
Probably not
Yeah,
many.
yeah. So it's probably pretty limited on that. I mean, I guess rather than sitting in traffic, yeah, maybe people will be willing to pay. If they're saying they can get the price close to it. Again, I don't know what Uber prices are in LA,
Yeah.
but I kind of doubt it's going to be that inexpensive.
I still would not this company, the company they paired with Aurora, has been around for 30 plus years, but they just did their first successful demo test of this end of April, and they want to roll this out in 2 years with
Yeah.
passengers.
Yeah, 2 years. that you
That's
would be
a
able to do this.
fair amount of testing time. Like, I think they could probably put this thing through its paces in that amount of
They
time.
could probably, if they have the
Developing
FFA.
the tech is the
Yeah.
time-consuming part. Testing it, just, you know, you got to find some fools stupid enough to climb into the thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the infrastructure, like you said, how many roofs can you land on? How do you get down from those? Do you just have access to these buildings?
I imagine
There's
them
a-
installing chargers on those roofs.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a QR code, they said. So once you pay for your ride, you go up and you
scan
scan
it.
that. That's how you get out
Yeah.
and get access to the rooftop.
What are they gonna be apartment buildings? Are they gonna be like actual businesses? Because it's like I wouldn't want anyone just walking through my building if I
Right.
lived
Yeah.
in this building just because they took a fucking helicopter from point
Yeah.
A to point B. Like I don't care about that.
I think there's a lot to work out on this. 2 years just seems really ambitious to have
mean,
that going.
I get it for
That's-
Los Angeles because the gridlock is so bad there, but holy
It
cow,
is, but,
that
I mean,
infrastructure is going to be crazy.
They don't even have clearance from the FAA yet.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, like, if they want to do
Yeah.
it within city limits, then they have to deal with helipads. They have to deal with private helicopters. They have to deal with news helicopters. They have to deal with all sorts of air traffic.
Well, that's
And
why they're working with
LAX.
NASA, right?
It is.
They're
yeah.
working with NASA. Okay.
They're
Yeah.
trying to get the airspace clearance figured out right off
Yeah,
the bat.
because I mean, LAX is such a big hub that there's so many things that you have to maneuver
Well, they have
just to
tons
even
of
get this
airports
out.
in the general
They
area.
Uber signed a Space Act agreement with NASA in order to create a custom air traffic control system that would manage Uber's fleet of low-flying aircrafts. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
A Space Act agreement. That sounds very serious.
Well, then fingers crossed NASA keeps getting some funding
Yeah, right.
from the government.
And all of that aside, looking at the companies themselves, Aurora, NASA have so much credibility. Uber does not. Uber is being
Yeah.
kicked out of other cities.
Well,
right
I
now.
am happy that they're talking to people about how to make it legal. Since the last major bit of hot water Uber got into was they just played dumb when they said, "Oh, we need permits to test our self-driving vehicles."
Yeah.
Oh, we need permits to test our
Like, but
self-flying
Google does it.
helicopters.
And it's like,
Yeah, but they're doing.
Google-
Everybody else is doing it. Yeah, they got permits. You know, they paid
Oh,
money.
Yeah,
Oh, they
which
need
is
those things.
does not bode well for the 2 years that they have to test these.
I haven't
out.
taken an Uber in a year.
I won't.
Starting,
I take
starting
Lyft.
I
at
won't.
starting at just before CES last year, I was like, nope, Lyft
Lyft
from
or
there
Lyft,
on out.
yeah.
And I talked
Same.
to Uber drivers, and a lot of them prefer Uber for a number of different reasons as operators, but. Because now you can tip through Uber, which
Yeah, I
was a
think that
big
was a
one for me.
big thing,
I wanted
yeah.
to be able to tip through Lyft, and
Right.
you know, but so many of them do both that I feel like I'm not really, you know, putting myself at a disadvantage by just going with Lyft. I'd rather support the company
fun.
that I like better.
I've talked to Lyft drivers that actually prefer Lyft
I have
over
to.
Uber. They get paid, or let's say they got paid a little bit better. It's not quite as like crazy on them to like hit the hot spots, and they can go whenever, and it's like the money ends up being better because you probably can tip as well too.
Yeah.
And there's not as much surge pricing with Lyft as I found as there is with Uber.
Right.
Yeah, and are these are going to be autonomous helicopters?
Well, possibly. They said, you know, probably eventually that's what they want to do, but I'm sure they'll have to have at least a pilot for quite a while. So where do you get all these pilots?
yeah.
True. Well, there's jobs
I mean,
for pilots.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are, but then it's
But then how much do they get paid? And again, that's going to bring up the price.
Yeah, and
Because
Uber
I'm
doesn't
sorry, if
have-
somebody's flying a vehicle over the city,
Yeah.
they should probably be paid.
But you're not going to pay a pilot the wage of a Lyft driver.
Exactly.
No.
You know,
Exactly.
those
But-
pilots make good money flying for United or whatever good money is
Uber doesn't
considered, but-
have the best track record for screening drivers, let
true.
alone people who are going to be flying through a city.
just pilot
Yeah.
school dropouts. Like that's the last person I want
like
flying
a
me
week-
around Los Angeles.
Take
you know?
a weekend course, become an Uber pilot.
Somebody
Yeah.
just has a bad night, they clip the side of a building, you know.
And then you hear the one phrase you don't want to hear. Let me try something real quick.
Yeah, it's like, no, just
Just
there's
please
a
land me.
shortcut I know.
Yeah, right.
You're going to get the guy who used to run guns for the Colombian cartel, and now he's under witness protection.
That go either.
I got to make a
fast, though.
stop real quick.
Yeah.
I might want that guy doing this.
Yeah. Like, can you bail out now?
Yeah, right.
All right. Well,
Good luck, Uber.
The last
So-
passenger already used the emergency parachute, so good luck.
So here's a plastic bag.
What does that mean? Yeah.
Just Mary Poppins it out of here.
So you can read all about that at digitaltrends.com. We got the article there. So again, we're gonna bounce around to a few different topics here. We got a little bit left, and this next one, honestly, I'm gonna try to set it up for you a little bit. But Caleb, I know you may have read a little bit more about what's going on, and it's has to do with Apple and their iPhones and security and who they give access to in the event of a crime. Who gets access to that iPhone? And you know, just to set up, we all know what happened in San Bernardino. And with the iPhone case after that, with the shooters, as far as the FBI wanted access, Apple refused. The FBI supposedly went to a hacker and paid, I think it was $900,000, somebody said, so about $1 million to get access to this thing. Now we have the issue that happened in Texas, the Texas shooting that went on, and that person also had an iPhone. And it's whether or not the FBI can get access to that. And this is what's been going down in this, especially this 48-hour window after it happened. And maybe can you sum up what exactly went down?
So the drama around the situation, where FBI said this and then Apple said that, basically goes the FBI, without actually calling out Apple's name, and it was FBI Special Agent, I love this guy's name, Christopher Combs.
Oh, that's total FBI.
He blamed industry standard encryption from preventing them from accessing the contents of devices of mass shooters, which was obviously a blatant shot across Apple's bow.
Yeah.
And it is referring back to the San Bernardino thing. That was like a pretty political thing for an FBI agent to do.
Right.
They tried to strong arm the hell out of Apple when that happened.
Yeah.
Apple was not backing down.
They certainly did. And Apple came around and said, oh, no. We proactively got a hold of you to try and work with you in order to, either get you possibly an iCloud backup from the phone, or, and we don't know whether or not we don't know what model the phone was. So we don't know that it necessarily supported Touch ID. But if it did support Touch ID, they basically have a 48-hour window from the last time the person used the phone in order to use that person's fingerprint to get in, which means you got the cadaver, you got the phone, you got 48 hours, unlock it, and use it as much as you want, right?
But what are the legalities of that?
Well, they can do it. That's not the problem.
They can use
the problem, and the reason I wanted to bring this whole thing up was not to play up on the drama between the FBI and Apple.
Sure. Right.
Initially, it confused me. I was like, wait a minute, they're cool working with the FBI and suggesting, hey, why don't you use a fingerprint? And if that doesn't work, we've got this iCloud backup data potentially that you could have.
Sure.
So this isn't about Apple protecting the data of terrorists or other criminals, people who commit these terrible acts.
Yeah.
This harkens back. The difference between this and the San Bernardino thing is they're like, listen, we're not going to give you the code. We're not going to give you the keys to our encryption system. Like, we will help you get the information you need, but we're not going to do it at the expense of our encryption program. We're not going to hand that over. So I think it's important for people to understand that's the distinction right now.
Exactly.
When we talk about what Apple's doing to protect our rights and whatnot, it's not our data. I mean, they are protecting our data, to a certain extent. But if you're deceased, if you're a criminal, if there's an investigation going on, your data may not necessarily be safe. Your phone may be unhackable, but if they get to you soon enough, they can still get in and get that stuff. And they're saying, look, we'll give you the iCloud stuff if it exists, and anything in the backup of that phone, we will help you have that information. I just thought it was interesting that the FBI was so quick to cast a stone. Meanwhile, Apple had proactively gotten a hold of them, and nobody got back to Apple within that 48-hour period.
That is got to be kind of a colossal failure on somebody's part.
I
The
mean,
FBI, not to at least reply back and see what's going on.
Like, sorry, the emails were going right into my spam folder. It was just like this thing.
But I think what it comes down to is that the FBI doesn't need to get access into his phone. Standard computer forensics, or at least for computers, but it also kind of extends to phones. If you have access to a password or a way to get into the computer, you just take it. Whereas right now, it's not about that. I'm sure that was one of the first things that they did. They just want to make a little jab and see if they can push hard enough and say, maybe Apple will bend this time.
Right.
It was
that's testing them.
And they
goes to
wanted
my
the
point.
back door.
It was a surprise move that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, even if it was just the actions of this one FBI agent, Christopher Combs, who was combing through the evidence.
Damn it!
Get in partnered like Dunham. Combs and Dunham. I think that sounds like a good partner
There
name.
you
But
go.
anyway,
Oh, yeah.
I'd watch that.
But
Yeah.
but it's a political statement.
Sure.
He's basically trying to rile people up and potentially get people on their side.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Apple, you should have done this. No, I don't. Said no one ever. Not in this particular
Not in this
situation.
case.
But that's
All right.
really all there is to it. I think we are going to watch what happens, how this plays out in the coming days. It'll either just go away and we won't hear about it again until the next instance where FBI or the CIA wants access to this person's phone. And just to Marie's point, do we really think that this guy was like keeping notes on his plans through the actual notepad feature, which he had deselected to back up to iCloud? Like, what's actually in that phone that you can't find elsewhere on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, emails are already out there.
Right.
Like
Emails,
pictures.
Facebook posts, Facebook messages.
They're just hoping text messages, but I guess iMessage would still be
Yeah.
linked. up
Location
with-
data.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
where
all
he was
accessible
pinged.
from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You want to track where the guy went? God, you're the FBI. You should know this. Get on top of
But
it.
this should go to prove that Apple will not make a backdoor, and they won't back
Yep.
down on that.
Yeah.
FBI, call me. It sounds like you need my services.
All right, there we go. So it's going to
And
be Combs
Marie's.
and Dennison.
Yeah.
I'm
That's what
bringing
it's gonna
Marie
be.
with me.
All right, there
Or
we go.
Macklin.
Well, yeah, we've pretty much got a CBS show right now, I think, with that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all worked out. All right,
CBS, call us.
we'll get it
and,
set up.
and Apple.
Law and
and
Order.
FBI.
Dun dun.
All right, let's get
Somebody
to our
call.
Somebody calls.
somebody call for the love of God. All right, let's get to our final topic here because we're starting to run low on time. But I did want to bring this up, and this was about a week and a half ago that this happened. But I feel like it's an important thing that maybe didn't get enough attention, and it has to do with Saudi Arabia of all places, and they have just granted citizenship, the world's first citizenship, to an android, and it's an AI unit from a company called Hanson Robotics, and this android's name is Sophia.
Of
And
course,
they
it has
did
a
this-
woman's name. Too.
They did this whole display. So the
Oh,
actual
gosh.
android itself has a very human-like face. They try to get it really close to human, but it's just off enough to where it's
Does she have a
really
mustache?
disconcerting.
It's-
It
No
can make
hair,
facial
like-
expressions and all kinds of different things. And they did this whole staged interview where a reporter went on stage and gave an interview or interviewed Sophia, asking it questions. And he even said, like, the reporter seemed very very concerned during it. He seemed very kind of off-put by the whole situation, and I highly suggest you go and watch that. But during it, some of it was scripted, some of it the AI actually went and spoke on its own, saying disturbing things like along the lines of, "As long as humans are nice to me, I will be nice to them," paraphrasing. That was one of the things that it said.
It's gonna happen where like there's gonna be this all-out war. Like we're gonna be led by IBM's Watson. It's Saudi Arabia's gonna be led by Sophia, and it's just gonna be this like all-out
Nope.
crazy war.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, it's happening. I mean, I think it's something that we're
You're
gonna
not into it?
Not feeling it?
I just,
big no to Sophia.
all I can think of is like completely unrelated questions, just tangential, like, are they going to let her drive?
That's
Right.
why I
Yeah.
initially
More
my
rights
head.
What's
than
like, what kind of rules are they going to apply?
You
to
grant
that
citizenship
android that they
to a
don't-
robot.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
like,
actually-
come on.
Yeah.
That's actually in the article too, here
Get
at
out.
digitaltrends.com.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
about whether or not they're going to allow Sophia to drive because it is Saudi Arabia where women are not allowed to drive. And let's see, would she be out somewhere?
mean-
there,
Weren't
I
they
think it's
just
like-
allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia?
Not yet.
Oh, not
What
yet,
was it?
right?
2018.
Well,
2018.
they've
Yeah.
announced that
Yeah.
they're
They will,
yeah.
yeah.
They're
I
going
mean-
to.
That's why it's just so
Still.
She's not covered up, but she also
baffling.
doesn't have hair, so
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
a little
Is that what they're
workaround.
covering? I don't know.
I don't know.
A lot of issues.
We're
I'll be
showing our
honest.
ignorance
I'll be
here.
It's
honest.
like we're
I
treading
don't
some
know.
very interesting ground here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can she leave the house unaccompanied by a male guardian? That's
What
one of
was the
things,
next
too,
topic
yeah.
we're going to talk about?
You're gonna drop that.
Yeah,
Well,
let's
anyway, Sophia. So that's the thing, though. Just as far as AI being granted citizenship is a very.
Is
I
this
remember-
a Saudi Arabian company that created this thing?
It is Hanson Robotics. So
Where are they
I'm
based
not
out of? Hanson doesn't
entirely
sound like
sure.
a very Saudi name to me.
It does not. If I were to say that off the top, but I'm not entirely sure where
That-
Hanson Robotics
yeah,
is based out
it would
of.
explain the
It
looks
does-
of the device. Can we call it a device? Is that wrong? Is that insensitive?
She's gonna
Hanson
find you.
from
Yeah.
Rhode
She's gonna
Island.
find out, and it's gonna be like Caleb. That
Hanson
guy.
Robotics does sound like the evil corporation in a sci-fi movie, though. I will
It's like
say.
Tyrell
Robotics, right.
Corporation.
Yeah,
and-
yeah, it does kind of work like that. Well, anyway, I put that out there. This just kind of got sidetracked a bit. It looks like, yeah, they're from
Wait, this guy made an
Rhode
Albert
Island.
Einstein robot.
Oh, yeah, that
Spinning
guy.
image of his
okay.
face.
Yeah, I remember seeing this before. But we've got all this at digitaltrends.com. I just thought it was interesting because
Yeah.
this is something where it's something you're going to have to start thinking about. With
is
the
the-
advancement
yeah.
of AI.
The
we
very
really do.
2017 story. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I will say I'd rather, and this is kind of political. Sorry, I
This-
would
this whole
rather.
show's been-
I would rather have Sophia in the White House press room as the press secretary. I would love to see that happen. I think that would be amazing. Can you just imagine, like, how much is programmed? How, you know,
Well, she'd be able to use basic reason. You know, she'd be
can
able
she
to-
duck questions? Can she sidestep? You know, is she going to tell you a story
She'll just paraphrase
about a
tweets.
bartender
humans. Yeah.
and, you know, a bunch of people drinking in the bar? Yeah, amazing. Good
There we
stuff.
go. That's how
interesting.
it is.
The interesting point of it to me is one. I know it's a startup, and they aren't quite as far along as some of the other, like Android humanoid like robots that we've seen, but her movements are still so like they're off enough. Whereas some of the other ones that we have are so it's hard to tell sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the ones in Japan or, mostly Japan.
Yeah.
But look, I guess the question is, do we even want them to look human?
I don't
feel
know.
Like
That's
that's
the
so
thing.
limiting.
I want them to look like the taxi cab drivers in the original Total Recall.
Oh yeah, Johnny. What is it? Johnny Cab.
Johnny, welcome to Johnny Cab. Like the jaw is like flapping like this, like old school. And if you could just go back to like
animatronics.
Chuck E. Cheese level animatronics,
Yeah.
that would be
so a nice Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Kind of thing there.
Okay. I like this idea. Yeah, I think that's the way.
I
it's
mean,
gotta go.
honestly, like Johnny Depp as the Pirates of the Caribbean guy in the you know the Splash Mountain ride. That's about as not Splash Mountain. I'm sorry, Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna put him in Splash Mountain. FYI, it's a
adult
little
Splash
insider
Mountain.
tip.
Uh-oh.
But no, that's about as real as I want that
Some
stuff to
Disney
break the
get.
embargo
Inside.
on that. Yeah.
All right.
Disney
Disneyland
Insider.
comes back. How dare you?
Yeah. We have
That
to cut
show's
the feed
embargoed.
right
Yeah,
now.
right. I will say we've reported on, I think, Sophia, because I recognize the face, which is
Yeah.
funny. But she makes like those facial expressions that she like looks like she's trying so hard to make. You know?
Yeah. Or trying so
And it just
hard
holds
to
them.
control.
She's
She
some
had a
weird
sneer in that
robotic
video.
rage
There's a
that's
bit of a
going to come
sneer.
out.
Yeah, right.
It
Yeah.
was a successful sneer, though. I felt like she was
Oh.
expressing disdain.
No, she was very condescending to the
Just smug to the
interviewer.
reporter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Smug
what?
Sophia.
All right, well, you
told
can
me
check that video out at
Why am I even
digitaltrends.com.
talking?
Yeah, right. Why am I doing this?
I think that's about it for today. We've gone all over the place today. This is Trends with Benefits. It's our weekly Roundtable Tech podcast.
Next week, Sophia's going to host the podcast.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
Sophia's taking
there we
over
go.
for all of us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get podcasts. And tune in live every Thursday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific on Facebook and YouTube to catch this show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another episode.
I want Sophia to tell me where I can get a McRib. Because
she-
I went to
You're
my
obsessed with
McDonald's.
these McRibs.
I really
You
am.
are.
A little
Do you like the
bit.
filet
I've heard
fish,
you.
too?
I saw you
No,
post
but
something about
the
it.
fillet of fish you can get all the time.
Get out
That's a nice piece of fish. No.
Was that your Johnny Cab voice again? I was just saying Johnny Cab face.
He pulls up, he's eating one.
Yeah, right.
They all kind of
nice-
coalesce
Maybe she can
into
drive
this.
our like cars. I'm still talking to the microphone. Maybe she can drive our cars.
It's a
for
good
us.
outro.
Yeah.
Just
Drive me to McDonald's, get me a McRib,
it's like, I'm sorry, I can't
and then
do that.
explain
kid.
the tax